me, I want to say, if you like food and you know it, clap your hands. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to the Center for Journalism and Innovation for giving me the opportunity to moderate this session. My name is Abdulkarim Mojib. I'm a journalist with Premium Time Center for Investigative Journalism. Mona, calm down now. So I knew after the food, we are going to have this kind of haul, but not bad. But the truth is that a big thank you to the CGID for at least giving us food before talking about food insecurity in Nigeria. So please clap for the Center for Journalism Innovation. Yeah, let's just get right into it. First of all, I would like to invite some of the wonderful panelists that will be discussing the topic. So I have with me, permit me to welcome Mrs. Winnie Lai Sholari, Director of Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Please a round of applause for her. She's a former Director of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Then we also have Aziz Salau. He's the CEO of Community Action for Food Security. I kindly welcome Dorcas Omole from SAI Consulting. And then we have Daniel Udeme Joseph. He's the CEO of Farm Monitor. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Yeah, good. Yeah, you can just move things. I think we've been overfed anyways. So. Thank you so much, wonderful panelists, for joining us. First and foremost, this is a topic I'm most passionate about, food security. Maybe because I've been reporting issues around food security, climate change issues, agriculture as a whole in Nigeria. But also what is more important is the fact that currently in Nigeria, we all know that we're facing the issue of food insecurity. According to the statistic, I think currently we have about 25 million Nigerians who are currently facing issue of acute food insecurity in the country. And the removal of fuel subsidy also wasn't that, where we have skyrocketing, food prices across the country. And also in the past 3 years, we have issue of flooding that ransacked, especially, rural communities where our food are largely produced from. So the back-to-back impact of this, we could also tell, we can also see it on the state of food availability, affordability, and even accessibility in the country. So based on this, we would like to just jump into it to see how we could harness, some of the digital technologies to improve Nigeria's state of food availability, affordability, and even accessibility, and to address, the lingering scourge of food insecurity in the country. And I think it's a great privilege to have these wonderful panelists here who have been working back to back, tooth and nail, to see how to address some of these challenges facing food insecurity in Nigeria. Once again, I want to sincerely welcome this wonderful panelists to steer this conversation further. So I will start with Dr. Somole from the Sahel Consulting. I know Sahel Consulting, you guys work closely with farmers across communities, grassroots communities, and that's where our food comes from. But from your experience, how can digital tools improve, farmers' productivity and also strengthen food security in Nigeria?
Thank you for that. Okay, thank you for that question. It's quite timely in times like this, where climate change and food security are sort of undergoing a mild competition between each other. Because as population is growing, the resources to produce the food is limiting, and as a result, there's a conflict between food production and climate change. And the only solution to that would be the adoption of technology, and technology not as a not as a new system, but as a tool that can be adopted. So definitely, local farmers are already showing readiness to adopt these tools. But the problem really is that some of these tools are not contextualized to fit into the, it's not contextualized to fit into the experience of the smallholder farmers. Because a smallholder farmer just wants to produce food to make some money for himself, to feed his family, and send his children to school. So whatever technology you are bringing to him, it really has to fit into his context. So the localization of the digital tools for adoption by smallholder farmers is very important. You have to apply context to whatever solution you are proposing to the farmers. Yes, farmers really want to adopt these tools. They want to have digital soil testing platforms. They want to have real-time data, early warning systems, so that they can also make early warning actions. But the challenge really is in the adoption. Yes, there are lots of pilot phases. It's quite fragmented, and everyone in the food system is really doing different things. We have some players like FAO. They have real-time data from the FAO Start platform. And you have a number of these. The UN food systems also has their own, and it's quite fragmented. So the smallholder farmer, who is the beneficiary of all of these digital tools, is just left at the middle and confused, really not knowing who to speak to, what organization to reach out for what. So I think, yes, the local communities, smallholder farmers are ready to adopt, but to hasten the adoption, we really need to focus on them as being the primary caregiver. Enough of looking at what the funder wants and what the organization focus is. The smallholder farmers really should be the center of attention here. And if that is the case, definitely adoption will be done in a very large scale. Public-private partnerships will also be done to ensure that these adoptions are tilted towards business models that are workable. The private sector would also be encouraging for the private sector to invest and to make some money for themselves, and the government definitely will then develop policies and implement those policies that will be favorable for the smallholder farmers. So yes, I believe the digital tools should definitely be ready for adoption by the smallholder farmers. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I know most of the smallholder farmers that we have, the food we consume day to day, on daily basis, are produced by these smallholder farmers.
Yes, absolutely.
And many of them still practice, use the traditional method to grow this food.
Yes.
And you think harnessing this digital tool can help us address the food insecurity situation?
Yes, definitely. How? Yes. Yes, definitely. So when I say digital tools, is really, I just want us to apply context into it. So digital tools like smart farming systems, the use of hydroponics, good agronomic practices, climate smart farming, the early warning systems to get real-time data and information to make early action, getting constant supply of your inputs, and so on and so forth. All of this information, yes, we'll do a very, also accessing mechanization as well, we'll do a very good one for the smallholder farmers who are ready to adopt. Yes, they produce the bulk of our food, but at the same time, their concerns are not really brought out to the table when most of these decisions or when most of these digital tools are being discussed.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Please, I think she deserves a round of applause. I know I will come back to you again, but I would like to jump quickly to, because we're talking about those farmers in the rural communities, I would like to jump quickly to Aziz Salau at the Community Action for Food Security. I know they work at the grassroots level to see how to support farmers in this regard. But just like you rightly mentioned, the issue of farmers being able to key in seamlessly into using some of the digital tools, many of them still struggle to do that. Aziz Salau, on your own path, what practical steps do you think can be taken to help farmers bridge these gaps and be able to access some of these digital tools and use it to scale, the agricultural productivity?
All right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I think just to ride on what my sister Dorcas said, yes, technology is actually very cool. And for now, and at the moment, yes, farmers are actually willing to adopt some of these tools. But then, what kind of technology are we bringing to farmers? Is it the one we want them to adopt, or the one that will meet them at the point of their current realities? So that is the most important thing, and what we need to put into our cognizance. And for this to happen, there's need for some of these farmers to really understand how some of these things are actually being done. So talking about the value, the value that we're actually bringing on board, how clear are they? So is it a technology that would really help to improve yield, or help farmers to access market and some of these things that would really help them to move from one point or point A to point B? How simple are they? Now we are actually used to some of these technologies being on our smartphone and all of that. But then for smallholder farmers, can we see how we can actually encrypt some of these things into USSD? See how we can incorporate them into, some of the radio programs that will be translated into, in their various local languages. With this, it will be simple and easy for them to adopt. And also, the issue of trust is actually very, very important, because you are not bringing or doing things with someone you're actually not trusting. So what kind of people are we, using to engage some of these smallholder farmers? So it is really beyond, getting maybe international organizations. There are CBOs. There are community-based organizations. There are youth-led, extension workers that can actually help to pass some of this, message to the smallholder farmers. And I strongly believe that with this, because, yes, we are in the technology era, but we need to make sure that some of this technology are actually very sustainable, because it is really more than, this is what we want to do. So how are they going to adopt it? How are they going to, ride on it to even get what they really want? So it is really very important for us to make sure that some of this technology are being developed with smallholder farmers, not the one that will be developed for them to, use. It should be the one that will meet their current realities. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think one thing that I took out is developing technology that farmers can easily operate with, that most of the farmers in this rural community, that also meets their needs at the point in time. But we understand very well that most of the farmers, when they're growing their crops, we have a situation whereby they grow crops, and many of them, when it gets to harvest season, they find it very difficult to transport their crops, to even link it to buyers. And many of them, even when they produce so much, they remain perpetually poor. And that brings me back to Mr. Daniel Udeme. I know at Farm Monitor, you guys you focus on real-time market tracking. and also looking at how some of these farmers can leverage on these digital tools to up their game, and not a situation whereby they produce and their crops will just be there and go rot, and many of them don't get the opportunity or the tool required of them to probably send some of these of their product to the places where they are required or where they are needed, and for them to benefit maximally from what they have labored for. So that brings me to, I would like to ask you that how can some of these digital platforms improve the linkages between farmers, their transporters, aggregators? Many of them want, some people who really need these crops, the aggregators, many of them don't even know how to locate some of these farmers at some of these local communities. So, and consumers. So how can farmers across these communities leverage on some of the digital tools that they mentioned here to, link them to transporters, aggregators, and the likes, for them to be able to leverage on that tools to sell their products?
I almost say praise the Lord. So thank you for your question. Just to keep this brief, I'm going to make it just practical. So what we have done at Farm Monitor, for instance, is to build the e-marketplace. So what that simply does is farmers have extension workers that attend to them on the field, and the farmers' outputs, produce, are uploaded on the digital platform, and people in different locations, in and out of the country, can pre-order. So the trick is this. The trick is, there's a technology called the yield predictor. So the yield predictor uses a lot of factors. I don't want to get into the technicalities, to track what a farmer can possibly produce in the course of the season, based on what he has cultivated, based on the size of land, based on the climate condition. So what's going to be your potential yield, and that is put on the platform. Now, so in the span of 3 months, let's take rice, for instance. It takes about 3 to 4 months for it to mature, and you can harvest. You have buyers that can now go to the platform and check, who is producing X quantity of rice and in what location, so I can pre-order. So that puts the farmer at a vantage position where you already have people that are going to offtake from you before you harvest. Now, when you look at the value chain between, from when the farmer goes to the field and harvests, it's a very huge value chain. So from farming to processing, you have middlemen in between, you have the markets, and then maybe governments, you may say, at the end of the value chain. There are several technologies. The good news is that there are several technologies, so Farm Monitor is not the only technology. So there are several technologies that are out in the space now that can help those linkages. The challenge is that because we are all operating in silos, and which is a real challenge, we are all operating in silos. We need that central point, which I probably have a time to talk about. It's called the digital public infrastructure, where all of those things can be plugged into, so that not just the harvest, but from input to an increase in yield to productivity can all plug into that central system. That's the digital public infrastructure. It's something government has to drive anyway. And then you can have those linkages really come to the fore. But for now, there are those applications here and there. And like I shared, the one we are doing, because there are different silos, there are different things, different people, different organizations doing different things. I know EggServe, I know a lot of them. I mean, these are our partners in progress. But by and large, these are technologies, like I did mention, Farm Monitor has the yield predictor, has the open market, where farmers are able to get to sell these things upfront. So people even pay for it and can receive upfront, and then that makes them lose less.
Are farmers in Nigeria currently, do they have access to this platform?
Yes, because the next question will be, how are they able to have access? So you don't meet farmers directly. You meet them through extension agents. So extension agents are hyper-localized agents who work with the farmers. So he could be the head of their cluster, the head of the association. So he leads that drive. You know, as an organization, you may not be able to go everywhere. But when you are able to engage people at their locality with those hyper-localized extension workers, you're able to get to onboard them on the platform. So that's our approach.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I think I find it quite interesting because I remember we were working on a particular story sometimes last year, and we got to a farmer who said he transported, I think, a full truck of onion from Kano to the south. But unfortunately for him, they only came back with 2,000 naira, full truck of onions, and all of them got spoiled. And that brings me to Mrs. Owili. I know she's, the first time I had an encounter with her was, I think, during a CGID program like this. And then she named CGID CGD. But she's a former director at the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. I know they've been in the forefront of trying to see that we get out of the whole drama of food insecurity in the country. Ma'am, government to government, we dish out several policies that has to do with we trying to boost food security in the country. And they just talk about some of the digital tools that are invoked that rural farmers could leverage on to boost productivity and also even their income. Is there any, during your time or at the ministry, let me put it that way, that you guys are proud of among some of what he mentioned now, to have dished out to some of these farmers to scale their productivity?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. First, I would like to thank CGID, as we all call this wonderful organization, for this opportunity again. Before I start, I would like to give a bit of information. You know, in this digital world, we have an innovation world. We have what we call innovation for development. We also have innovation for business. What we have been hearing has been innovation for business. Business operators scaling up their businesses with innovation, trying to reach farmers. The bottom line for them is profit. And whatever they do, the bottom line is profit, because the businesses want to make profit. So they have a lot of apps out there. They have a lot of innovation out there to try to reach farmers, to either for trade, either for advisory services, and the likes. But the one that I will be talking about will be innovation for development. And that's where government comes in. Government is not really looking for profit. Government has innovation for livelihood, to increase and improve the livelihood of the ordinary farmer, to make it easy for industry to flourish, to make it easy for food to get to our tables, to increase productivity. And I will say what is happening now, and I will say what I think should be happening. Right now, we have farmer registration. Remember, farmer registration started 2011 with the then ATA, Agri Transformation Agenda. 2011, 2012, over 11 million farmers were registered. Over 11 million farmers were registered. And then you now had Agri-Food and Jobs 2020 by Federal Ministry of Agric as well. And over 2.4 million farmers were registered. And now there is one currently on now by the Federal Ministry of Agric and Food Security that has been linked to NIN. So farmers are encouraged to register with their NIN, and it is powered by in collaboration with IFAD, in collaboration with HEFA Foundation, in collaboration with CBN, and the small and medium scale enterprises, particularly farmer organizations. So for us in government, though I've left government, I worked for over 30 years in government, so I still have government still around me. So, but for us in government, it is about innovation for development. So that farmer register can tell the business person how to find the crop farmers and livestock farmers. But there's something that is missing. It's called interoperability. We are not able to interoperate. So everybody's working in silos. Just to say this, I want to give you just a very quick example. Until we understand innovation for development, innovation for business, we will not move far. All the innovations for business should come together and operate. So one person's information is output is another person's input, and you can make money. While information for development will give you the foundation on which to ride an enabling environment. In Kenya, you have KALRO. I want us to go, those of us who are very savvy. KALRO, Kenya Agric and Livestock Research Organization. They have innovation for development. A farmer has that app. It knows where, it will ask you your county, it will ask you your locality, it will tell you the type of animal to breed, it will tell you where to find everything. It will tell you the type of crop that you can have for that location and where you can find seed and support. While the other arm innovation for business is like Farmer's Hand you have in Kenya, where the farmer is giving something like a band, and the animals are also wearing the band to track animal disease. So that's for business. We must divorce innovation for development, innovation for business, so that we can talk to each other. Right now, we are all over the place. We are not talking to each other yet. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Innovation for business, innovation for development. Wow. I mean, she can go on and on and on to, if I stop this now. Okay, so for the sake of time, there is a particular question I really want to ask all of us. And you just have 30 seconds to respond to them. Are we producing enough? Ma'am, are we producing enough food in Nigeria? Do you believe in the figure that 25 million people in Nigeria are currently facing acute food insecurity at the moment in Nigeria?
What I believe is that over 30 million Nigerian children are stunted. That I believe, because it has been verified.
And what is the driver?
Are we producing? The driver for stunting is because we have left out livestock. Very simple. You can't have food security if you don't have feed security. If you cannot feed your animals, you cannot feed your people. So we have left out livestock a long time ago. We are just pulling it. You can't eat a bowl of rice 3 times a day without having kwashoko. Abi? You must add meat. If you come to my house, I give you only rice. You will leave the door and say, these people are really poor. But if I give you a bowl of chicken, you say, yes. So that's why we are where we are today. Are we producing enough? Divide it. Are we producing crop enough? Are we producing livestock enough? Are we producing crop enough to meet 230 million people? My answer is no. Okay? Are we producing livestock enough to meet that same number? My answer is no. And I'll tell you why. Very simple. I have 30 minutes. It's very small.
Not 30 minutes.
I have 30 seconds. But I'll tell you why I say we are not producing enough. Okay? Now, you have over 70% of our rural farmers giving us the food that we are eating. But question is, what quantity are they producing every day? Okay? And within security currently in the country, with flooding and all of those other aspects that support food security or enable food insecurity, no matter what they produce,
half of it, or at least 30% of it, is lost. So are we producing enough? Not yet.
Thank you, Ma. Mr. Aziz Salau, are we producing enough?
Well, for me, I think that question is quite tricky. But then I can say yes and I can say no. But I think the bottom line is that the way we see some of these things, especially when it comes to production. So when we hear production, so our mind just goes to, oh, farmers doing some of those things. But farmers are actually just, tilling the soil and propagating. So there is harvest, there is processing, there is marketing before it gets to, because that question, maybe you need to ask, are we eating enough? Because it is really beyond production. It is really beyond our business, the way Madam has rightly put it down. We need to see and start following the food systems approach, which means that whether you are a farmer or you are a tailor or you are a banker, once you are eating, you need to make sure you are your brother's keeper. And with this, it means that we are looking at those people that are transporting some of those things we eat. It means that we are nurturing and monitoring the frozen foods that we go to the market to buy without even knowing where they are coming from. It means that we are holding the government accountable to say that, oh, this and these are what you've said you're actually going to do. How far have we come? And when I say government, it is really also beyond the federal government. Everything happened at the subnational level. So all of us are not from Abuja. We are from different parts of the country. How are we engaging with some of these policymakers, especially at the subnational level? So to answer your question, I strongly believe that we need to really, look at the food systems approach and start making sure that we are tracking, we are monitoring, we are making sure that the food we eat, the food we consume, we know where it is coming from, we know how it is being produced, and we are also part of it, even as simple as maybe propagating some of those vegetables at our backyard. Then we can say that we're actually producing enough, or we are not producing enough. But then food systems approach is really the way forward, where everybody understands how some of these things work, and we can feel the pain and some of the things some of these farmers face. And when we can feel that, it means that when we can feel it and we can say that, oh, we want to be part of it, we want to be part of the process, a lot of things will actually change. And to wrap up, it is very important for us to understand that if we are producing alone and we are not adding value to some of these things, we'll still keep continuing the conversation. We'll still keep coming back and asking questions without tangible solutions, without tangible answers. We need to make sure our factories are working. We need to demystify and make sure that the way we are seeing some of these things, if I say I'm a farmer, you look at me as a poor person, but then you eat every day. So we need to understand that for us to do all of these things, we need to see ourselves before we can, do a lot of things that would really help us, sustainable and do, make sure that we are actually, making sure that food security is our thing. It is what we need to do to make sure that all of us are actually...
Thank you so much, Mr. Aziz. I know if I allow you, keep talking, and they are signaling already that our time is up. But to the Mrs. Dorcas and Mr. Joseph, I would like to ask this, and you conclude it with your final thought. One thing that stood out from this conversation also is that you said most of these farmers are working in silos and are unable to tap into some of these digital tools. How can we address that? 30 seconds.
Thank you. The first thing to do is digital literacy among farmers. You need to train farmers on how to adopt these tools. You need to then develop these tools in local languages using existing framework structure that exists in the community. USSD, like Salahu mentioned, Aziz mentioned the other time, radio, the use of community-based farmers existing cooperatives in the local societies. You should adopt those frameworks that are already in the communities. Then secondly, you also need to establish some public-private partnerships to reduce the high cost of internet. I'm sure there is a cliche saying that data is very cheap in Nigeria, but this is not cheap for a local farmer. So there needs to be existing framework where farmers would have access to subsidized data, internet for their phones, and also help adopting whatever digital tools they want to adopt. And finally, innovations needs to be scaled. The only way it can be scaled is when the farmer who you want to adopt this tool is going to make some money off of it. If you are increasing his cost by telling him to download a particular application, and that tool is not converting to money, profit in his account, he is not going to adopt it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph.
So I think between Dorcas and Madam Director, they've actually articulated the answers. But I just want to emphasize that, like Madam Director said, the need for DPI, digital public infrastructure. And she had mentioned, as of yesterday, there was a meeting with IFAD and the federal government to start that digital public infrastructure. Now, this is why it is key. If I, as an agritech, have 500 farmers, and she has 500 farmers, the two of us have just 500 farmers. But if we have a system that brings all the farmers together, we can now serve 1,000 farmers. So we can have more done when we are integrated. That's exactly what I want to say.
Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate. Please kindly give them a round of applause. I sincerely appreciate your thoughts. I don't know, we'll go back to the audience. We can just take two.
Okay, two. Okay, two is good.
Yeah.
The gentleman wearing the purple glasses has been raising his hand for long. Just in front. Yes, please.
Please, no background context. Your question in one sentence. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bishop Akin Thomas from the FYA CDS NYSC. I'm a blockchain and software developer, and I have two fast questions. First, talking about integrating innovation for business and innovation for development. What is a straight line that we can use to remove the silos? Because from a business point of view, we want to make profits, and it's really difficult to say you're building a startup and you're not making profit out of it, and at the same time you want to bring about development. So what is a straight line that we can use to solve that? And then from going for traceability, like you said, sir, if we want to be able to track goods that are bought by market women, and then you can go to the market and buy those goods, how exactly can we track those goods to where they are coming from? What is the solution exactly to track those goods? Because you cannot ask them all the frozen food. How exactly can we track it? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Someone there.
Should be the
A lady.
second.
Pick a lady.
Okay, just one lady has her hand up. Okay, okay, she's spoken, so maybe we have the other lady wearing the jacket.
Hello, thank you, everyone. My name is Nekai Kilion. I work with the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, and I just wanted to add to what Madam Winnie said. I think we need to go beyond food security at this point and start talking about nutrition security. Like she said, every time there's a food program, you heap a pile of rice in a plate and you give children. From our perspective, food security is not only affected by conflict, but conflict could actually be an effect of food insecurity. Let me tell you why. If children are not nourished properly, their growth is stunted, and then even the development of their cognitive ability is stunted. They need that cognitive ability to be able to live with others. It builds tolerance, it builds empathy, it builds all sorts of other things that makes us able to live with our neighbors that are different. So if children continue to be malnourished, then there's going to be a problem. So it's not just about putting food on the table, it's about finding ways to fortify what we can get with the nutrients that the children need. Thank you.
So that's a contribution. Okay, that's it.
We'll just take the question.
Thank you so much. Madam Willie, you want to go?
Thank you very much.
We don't have much time.
You want to know how innovation for business and innovation for development can interoperate. I think that's what we are trying to do right now. You need to start with business for development, innovation for development first, because then that builds the farmers resilient to be able to work with the business people. Right now, the farmer is so fragile, and the business people are playing on their intelligence right now. they don't have the information they need, and they cannot even help themselves. They don't have anybody supporting them. So that can only work when we have business, innovation for development strong, and that's what the government is trying to do. When you know the number of your farmers, then you also work with the private sector now, when you have your data governance, to manage what goes out to the farmer and how the farmer receives information. And of course, like they said, digital literacy will now be part of your priority in innovation for development, so that more farmers can reach whatever the business people are bringing forth. So we are just starting in Nigeria. Other countries have gone far ahead, but that's fine. It's better that we are doing that instead of just watching. So just to answer your question, we are getting there. We are just beginning on the right foot now. For traceability, you mentioned, for instance, government has a national animal identification and traceability system for livestock. With that, the government people, the business people, it will be easy for them, since you have a platform that identifies the beef that you are going to sell. You see where you work. It will be easy for development and business to run in that area. But if you don't have innovation for development giving you regulating traceability, the business people cannot go far. So that is what I'm trying. I just thank you.
Okay, just 30 seconds.
Yes,
he wants to add to that.
Just to add to that, so Trace, it's actually good that you are a blockchain expert, because we are currently also, designing a blockchain technology to actually, track and also monitor some of the solar dryers in some states. And we need an expert like you. So the only solution is, number one, we need data. Number two, we need tech experts that we can come together to say that, we want to do something like an hackathon, to start thinking of how we can actually make sure that we are starting at one point and we are working together, getting closer to what we really need, especially in terms of tracing some of those things we need to trace across the food systems value chain. So please, let's see after this session. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I think we will draw the curtain here, even though we are being rushed. I believe the panelists have been able to convince, but not to confuse you, that harnessing digital technology is likely going to help us to be able to find our way out of food insecurity menace that we face in the country. Sincere thank you to all the wonderful panelists and also the wonderful audience for listening. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
A round of applause for this panel on food security. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.